We've got speed.
That was very impressive. I get the feeling you must really enjoy movies a lot.
I do. I like movies. I've always liked movies a lot.
So is this a dream for you to come and find yourself sitting up there on the screen with...
Yes, it is. One of my favorite things about this business is getting the chance to work with people that you've been admiring their work since before you got into the business, you know, when you were a kid. I mean, I watched Powers Booth in films before I ever had the slightest idea I might get the chance to work with him. So that was great.
Now, let's get this straight. You're a kid, you're growing up, normal existence, could have gone to college, could have sold life insurance, could have done Domino's Pizza. Did you wake up one day and just go, you know, I want to be an actor? Or do you think it was sort of a natural process, given your background?
You know, I don't have any idea how it came about, but it's really what I wanted to do from the time I was really, really young. I really didn't ever want to do anything else.
Since your mother worked so hard to keep you out of the limelight, you know, to make sure that you didn't have to deal with any of the baggage that would come along with, you know, your inherited name, how did she take the news when you said, you know what, I'm going to follow in my father's footsteps?
Well, I think when you're young, no one takes you particularly seriously, you know, when you make these statements about what you'd like to do with your life. I remember in high school that they always said, you know, well, you may feel that way now, but we would be remiss in our duties if we did not provide you with something to fall back on. What would it be like if you find yourself 20 years old and, you know, your career's not working out and you don't have anything to fall back on, you know? Well, sometimes they should just listen, you know?
Oh, yeah, because you knew best.
I guess I was very fortunate, too, but...
Did you ever consider changing your name? Not going out and putting yourself up to be compared to someone, you know, as well known as your dad?
Do you think it would have helped? You mean you wouldn't be asking me these questions if I had changed my name?
Very good point. Very good point. How much training have you had? Fill us in on your background as far as martial arts.
My dad started training me as soon as I could walk. I trained with him pretty rigorously up until the time that he died. Then there was a period of time when we first moved to the United States where I really just stopped training. It was a strange time when we moved to the United States because all my friends up until that point were Chinese. I spoke Cantonese in the house and with my friends, and all of a sudden we were in this new country, you know, and I didn't know anybody really except for Chuck's kids, Chuck Norris's kids, Eric and Mike, who really helped me like be American, you know. And then I met Danny Inosanto again, who was my dad's protege when my dad was still alive. And I started training with him when I was about 13. And I've been training with him ever since. He's still my Sifu today.
For the film, were you called on to do anything that you hadn't done before? You laugh.
Well, I guess so. A couple things. You mean physically?
Physically and in terms of acting. I mean, this is not your first movie.
No, it's not. Well, I was called on to be the lead in the film. You know, that was some weight a little bit, but it was great. It was great. There were some days when I felt like somebody from 20th Century Fox was definitely going to come down, knock on the door and say, well, son, we've been watching the trailers and we're pulling the plug. You're out of here, you know? But I actually ended up being pretty proud of what we ended up doing.
You know, it's interesting how many actors I've spoken with, even ones who've won Academy Awards, and they say every job they have, they feel like it's the last one they're ever going to get.
Yeah. Well, there is no job security in this business. You know, you don't get tenure.
When I sat down, you started quoting something totally unlike martial arts to me. Where are your real interests? What kind of movies?
That was The Ballad of Reading Jail by Oscar Wilde, actually.
Wow. So what is your background? I mean, are you a theater major? Is this something that you would, what would you like to be doing? Mel Gibson, Hamlet type thing?
You know, I got into this business to act. If I get the chance to use this skill that I've been also developing for the majority of my life, that's good too, but certainly it's important to me to have a wide body of work at the end of my career, you know? I wouldn't want to find myself in the position of just doing the same movie over and over and over again. Mel Gibson's a good example. I mean, that's somebody who certainly has done his share of, you know, mainstream action films from Mad Max to Lethal Weapon. But he's also always had the tenacity and the credibility as an actor to go off and do Year of Living Dangerously or Mrs. Soffel or Hamlet.
Yeah, he's very talented. But it's hard sometimes because audiences don't let you stretch. They want to pigeonhole you. Oh, yeah, I know. Brandon Lee, he does the martial arts thing.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's true, though, that much. I think, like I said, it comes down to the tenacity of the individual, you know? Sure, maybe you won't get paid as much money. Maybe you won't get the nicest trailer like you had on your big action movie set, you know? But, I mean, who cares, you know? If you're willing to forego those things, you're telling me any one of these people couldn't be working in independent films or theater? I mean, where was Kathy Bates before she won the Academy Award? You know, it's like, oh, she just popped up. No, she'd been doing a lot of damn good work for a long time, you know? So it's up to the individual and the work that you do. I think the work ends up speaking for itself one way or another, you know?
Do you feel people will scrutinize you more and compare you inevitably because of your name? Is it a door opener for you as well as something that you have to deal with?
Compare me to my father?
Yeah.
You know, strangely enough, people really don't compare me to my father that much. A lot of times people will like to ask me questions about him, but it's usually, I think it's fortunate that the people that I meet seem to have really admired my dad's work a lot, you know. So it's usually a pleasure to talk to people like that about my dad because I find myself in the same boat with them. I mean, I admired his work a lot myself. What was the other part of the question?
It opens doors for you, obviously.
Oh, well, I guess so. It does, certainly. I wouldn't ever try and say that it hasn't been a benefit to me in my career. Certainly, you know, as far as a film like Rapid Fire goes. But, you know, my manager, this lady named Jan McCormick, who's a real dear friend of mine too, is always want to say that, you know, it may open the door for you, but once you get inside the room, what you do is totally up to you, you know?
Write a role for yourself and tell me what it would be. If you could now, after Rapid Fire, come up with something for you to do and you could design it, what role would it be?
Well, there's a play called Hurly Burly by David Rabe. Sean Penn did it in Los Angeles, about 3 years ago or so. And the part of Eddie is this guy, he's a casting agent in Los Angeles. By all outward signs, his life is pretty successful. You know, he's got a fair chunk of money and he seems to be doing fine. But he's one of these guys that's expending the majority of his energy convincing himself and everybody around him that he's okay while he's kind of slowly falling apart, you know? So
definitely nothing autobiographical there.
Oh.
You seem like you've got a real grip on where you're going with your career.
Well, you know, we'll see.
If your dad could say something now, what do you think he would say watching you up on the screen?
I'd be proud to show my dad this film. I wish I had the opportunity to. I don't really know what he would say about it, but I guess the most I can really ask for is that I'd be happy to show it to him, you know.
Can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
Will you do another martial arts film?
I think so. Probably not right away, but I'm not planning on walking away from the genre forever and ever. It's just, like I was saying before, I'd like to be able to jump back and forth, you know, from one type of film to another. It depends what comes my way right now. Well, you know, this is the first time, really, that I've had the chance to be in a film that a lot of people are going to see, so, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, really.
Would you like to do a leading man romantic type situation?
Sure, absolutely.
Are you getting offers right now? Are people beginning to become aware of you?
Some offers, yeah.
What's your next project?
It's called The Crow. I get to play a rock and roll musician. I get
Really?
to quote Edgar Allan Poe,
Yeah?
and I get to return from the dead.
Ooh. Let's see, I don't remember. Jim Morrison hasn't done that yet.
As far as we know.
Right. What about, I don't think Keith Moon's done it yet. Will you be playing an instrument yourself?
Guitar.
Are you a musician?
Well, give me a couple months.
Quick study. Great. Well, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Thanks.
Thank you.